Ahoy! The Manticore is here. But not just any Manticore. Martichoras or Martichoras, the Manticore King, will be the next god in SMITE. And as of today, we have not only his trailer but also various insights into his kit, both from his closer look as well as the data mining. Let's begin with the closer look and talk about what we know. Who is Martichoras? The Manticore King, a Greek physical hunter. This is what I also predicted in the reveal, so I'm very happy that this is coming true because that opens up the options for the other speculation that I had. The Martichoras was allegedly a blue-eyed, human-faced wild beast of India. It was the size of a large lion with cinnabar red fur. It has 3 rows of teeth, feet and claws like lions. It also had a scorpion-like tail with a terminal sting that measured over 1 cubit plus 2 rows of auxiliary stings, each a Greek foot long. The sting was instantly fatal. Quote by Indica Setias, 5th century. No idea how to pronounce that. The Manticore is a well-known beast in mythology and in many other fantasy worlds, but for SMITE we wanted to look deeper. What were the origins of the Manticore? How did this beast come to be a figure in many different mythologies and modern creations? The first mention of the Manticore comes from an ancient Greek author by the name of Stasias. He was traveling through Persia and got the first account of this creature from the locals who claimed it originated in India. He wrote about its monstrous features in great detail. Ctesias is the primary source that survived to spread the mythology of this creature across the globe, and so because of his Greek origin, we chose the Greek pantheon for Martichoras. This writing started to circulate among the other Greek writers and eventually spread through other regions. The name was spelled in many different ways. Martichoras was the original name Ctesias recorded from the Persian pronunciation, and it was actually a European mistranslation of Aristotle's work that resulted in it being called Mantichoras. This was the primary text that spread across the modern world and led to the shortened Manticore, the most commonly used name nowadays. The monster was also referred to by its title as well, the Man-Eater or Androphagon in Greek. Martichoras is the first Manticore ever recorded. He is the Manticore. In SMITE, he is the most ancient of the Manticore species and thus the most powerful and respected. He is the king among these terrifying beasts and is eager to take revenge on the gods who have treated him like a simple animal for so long. Our vision. Martichoras serves as not only a unique type of creature god, but also has a strong connection to the history of SMITE itself. For year 10, we wanted a creature that evoked strong mythological origin and also honored the 10 plus years of SMITE gameplay updates. The Manticore was the boss enemy of the original SMITE tutorial map, dating all the way back to the closed beta period. It was no simple jungle boss though. It had AI and abilities like a god opponent. It was removed and replaced as many upgrades took place across the game, but wasn't forgotten. It had a brief stint as the original arena mode boss NPC and then was featured in an extremely popular YouTube video. The April Fool's video for the Manticore's kit was one of the most watched on the official SMITE channel of all time, and many players have longed to see him return, but with the serious treatment of a new god. The time has finally come for his return as the first creature hunter in SMITE. Core themes. Theme: the Man-Eater. Martichoras stalks his prey carefully, ready to pounce at any moment. When the time is right, he strikes with razor-sharp claws and deadly venom, then feasts. Visuals. The Manticore King. He displays all of the key expectations of a Manticore, but with added detail and visual interest to show his prominence within the species. Personality. Royal Beast. Martichoras is intelligent and calculating, but he still has the hunger and instinct of a beast. Through great discipline, he has turned those into a strength, not a weakness. Perspective. Underestimated. Martichoras has the element of surprise. The gods ignore him and think little of him, but Martichoras will soon show them how wrong they are. Artistic process. Creatures always create interesting challenges. Starting with something inhuman immediately gives us a lot more room to explore the core anatomy. We have to stick to the same constraints as any god: differentiation and execution. Martichoras was often compared to other quadrupeds for differentiation, especially Cerberus. We wanted to make sure his shape and size felt different from his. A character with a human face, 4 legs and wings can make for some difficult technical constraints further into the process, so we needed to be especially aware of what type of animation and movement we wanted. We would not be able to execute our plans for something that looked good on paper, but wouldn't actually translate into an achievable 3D movement. We started to move away from the more agile or bat-like versions of the god. The Manticore would be a hunter, but we didn't want him to feel frail or aerial. We decided early on that he would move mostly through walking and would attack by slinging spines from his tail, so we designed around those elements. The look and feel of a hunter's basic attack are especially important, so his stance was adjusted to leave room for this animation. Even with these changes, he was still much slimmer than Cerberus. With the base anatomy finalized, we experimented with various adornments. The literal crown clashed with his more natural design, and the larger bone elements felt tacked on and could disrupt his movement. We leaned more into the design A or B, with the goal of making his natural features seem prominent and royal on their own merit. We brought the final colors to communicate a venomous monster and finished up his design. An additional feature that isn't visible here is his mouth. Martichoras' jaw appears to be a relatively normal human jaw, but hidden under his beard are larger jawlines that allow him to open his mouth especially wide, truly terrifying. Be sure to look for this in his 3D model and animations. He has a mane of hair to speak to his lion form, but it's styled and maintained to show his intelligence. His crown of horns and his powerful wings have strong and sharp silhouettes, tying in nicely to his stinger, tail and claws. Gameplay. Martichoras is a traditional hunter with some very unique twists. He is designed to best perform in the duo lane carry role, but he could likely branch out into mid lane as many hunters often do. Martichoras is a larger beastly hunter, and his playstyle is designed to match that. He focuses on higher damage output and facing opponents head-on as opposed to being more evasive or controlling. Unique gameplay features. A new type of basic attack damage that deals less on the initial hit but applies a ramping, stacking damage over time across multiple successful hits. Based on what we know from the data mining, there is also a stack max for these, so you can't just infinitely stack them. I think this is a very cool mechanic, but also one that is likely very difficult to balance. If you don't give it the same upfront damage as other attacks, then you kind of have to offset by making it stronger after a while, which is something that is less noticeable than immediate damage, and it's harder to deal with it basically when you're being attacked by it. And also it is more difficult for him to clear lane that way, because if you're trying to last hit minions, then you obviously want to deal the damage immediately. So I don't know if he will have a unique last hit mechanic where under a certain threshold the damage is higher or something, but if not, he would definitely be a little bit more difficult to play than other hunters in that regard. The next feature is a unique type of stim passive ability that stacks on successful hits and ramps up over longer matches as opposed to one on an ability. I think this is a very interesting mechanic, I guess somewhat similar to Chronos, but you actually have to hit enemies for it to stack. According to the data mining, this provides you with increased physical power, lifesteal and ability lifesteal, and the passive also slows and has stacks. I imagine not all of these things may be true at the same time, or maybe these were different testing iterations. I would be surprised if he actually gets increases in all 3 regards at once. That would sound very, very strong unless it's a very minor increase in all of them. Next, he has an ability that he can place and then explode with a follow-up attack. According to his data mining, this is likely ability 2, which makes Manticora's next basic attack fire an explosive spike. So this is probably the spike that you will have to attack afterwards. And this explosion then roots the enemy player and reduces their healing. So I guess it's somewhat similar to Chernobog, only that it works with basic attacks. The next one may very well be my favorite part of the kit. He has the ability to summon stealth grass for himself and his team. You may remember this stealth grass. This is something they tested in Adventures ages ago, and I was really hoping they would introduce it to the game somehow, so I guess they finally did. Now what I'm unsure about is if this is a temporary one and basically just a newer fog that stays in place and doesn't deal damage, or if this is something you can actually place somewhere and then allies can walk through it 2 minutes later and they still get that stealth benefit. So I'm not sure how powerful this will be, but I am guessing that this is ability 3 from the data mining, because this is a deployable and has an increasing movement speed effect, which likely affects allies, so that would fit very well here. He has no traditional dash, leap, or movement ability. He has little to no hard CC, only a slow and a conditional route, and we already know that the conditional route is likely tied to that spike explosion. I'm honestly wondering how exactly he will play based on the information that we have here. We know that he has no escape tools, he has no CC tools, and he doesn't have the highest basic attack damage either, because his damage is ticking over time. So it seems like as a whole he would start out relatively weak at the beginning of a match and has to play very careful until he gets his ramping passive going. So maybe after all it may be physical power lifesteal and ability lifesteal, and his general weakness in various regards is just offset by him being an absolute beast literally in late game. About his ultimate, we know that it features his wings in a flying or hovering stance, so I'm guessing this will be at least somewhat of a way to have some means of escaping. According to the data mining, his ult also comes with a deployable and reduces physical protections. There are many legendary beasts across the pantheons, and selecting one of our roster is no small task. Our specific desire to add a true creature hunter, while also referencing SMITE lore at an equal level as mythological lore, led us to this new god. Bring out your carnivorous spirit and get ready to devour some gods with Martichoras, the Manticore King. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing and clicking the bell. I've got some more SMITE stuff coming up this week, the patch notes, as well as some other unrelated videos, so stay tuned for that or stick around for some New World. Thanks to my patrons for supporting this video, and thank you for watching. Sloth, out.